Here goes.
I'm muted. Are you muted?
No.
You want to mute for a second? It's 5:29. We're just going to give another minute or so for folks to get on, and then we'll get started tonight. All right, it's now 5:30. We have folks on YouTube. We're ready to go. Thank you and welcome to our virtual town hall for the kickoff of the schools of this year, August 2021. I'm Jeff Greenlee, Superintendent of Belpre City Schools, and it's wonderful to be with everyone this night, and looking forward to having students in their buildings in just a couple of weeks. As per our last virtual town halls, if you have a question, please feel free to drop it in the chat. And we've got folks here that will compile those questions, and then at the end we'll do our best to answer the questions that folks might have as we move forward. So I have a number of announcements to make this evening. First, want to make folks aware again that we have new course offerings available at our middle and high school this year. A number of new course offerings have been added, includes Chalk Talk Journalism. This course is going to have students engage in student level reporting. They'll be working on digital articles, journalism articles like newspaper articles, and possibly also working eventually into some video journalism as well. So interested students that might have an ELA background or want to learn more about broadcast or writing, that's a new course offering this year. We'll also have mock trial available for junior high and high school students. This will be a group of students that will work in different roles: prosecutor, defense attorney, witnesses, and we'll actually put on a trial. And I believe the intent of the course is also for students to compete as a team in competitions in the state of Ohio. So we're very pleased to offer this. Mock trial was an elective that we offered many years ago, and we're excited to have it back this year. Happy to be able to offer calculus and physics simultaneously this year. Offered through Washington State Community College 2 new engineering courses: Fundamentals of Engineering and then CCP Engineering PELT. So I think the first engineering course is really a broad level engineering course to introduce students to engineering concepts, and then they'll take those introductory concepts in the first engineering, and in the second they'll be more application based, where I believe the intent is for them to use what they learn in the fundamentals course to actually construct some basic things with what they've learned, and it's more of a practical hands-on course in engineering. So for STEM students out there that are looking for more to do and deeper ways to learn and use their learning, those are great courses. We'll have CCCP American Literature 1 and 2, and we'll also have a drama course this year, which we're thrilled to be able to have. So sign up today. Those are available to students. I believe Ms. Miller is hard at work on student schedules. They will be populating very soon, and I heard that they may even be visible now, at least online. And then when we have orientation in a few weeks, more to come on that, students will be able to pick up a hand copy of their schedule as well. So parents, if you are unaware of these course offerings, I would invite you to talk with your student about them, and then follow up with Ms. Miller to engage and express interest in that coursework. So very excited to be able to offer that. I'm also pleased to announce this evening that the school lunch program waiver has been extended. So all students, regardless of income level, will be eligible to receive a free breakfast and lunch this year. So like last year, that's been extended throughout the entire academic year this year. All of our students can have a hot lunch and as well as a free breakfast without any charge or need to provide income levels. So very grateful to USDA and looking forward to serving more students this year in our cafeteria. Here are some important dates I want to make sure we go over this evening. Similar to last year, when we open, we are going to have a staggered start calendar this year. So on August 23rd at Belpre Elementary, we'll have Group A students report. At Belpre High School, we'll have 7th and 9th grade students report. And then the next day on Tuesday, 8/24, we'll have Group B students report at the elementary. 8th and 10th grade students report at Belpre High School. And then on 8/25, that Wednesday, moving forward, all in. So this will allow us to have an opportunity to have our students on campus to ease them in, to make sure Chromebooks are issued, to make sure that everything's where it needs to be and orderly, so that on Wednesday we can bring everybody together and have a smooth start. There are just a handful of caveats to that. You'll note that there's an asterisk for kindergarten. Your teachers will be communicating directly to you, kindergarten families, on what screening will look like in orientation. And then also want to make sure, if you're a Belpre Elementary family and you're thinking, am I Group A or am I Group B? That information, along with homerooms, will be posted at Belpre Elementary School on August 19th at 5 o'clock. August 9th. Yeah, I wrote 9 on the slide and said 19th. So that's August 9th at 5 o'clock p.m. That will be posted at Belpre Elementary School, so you'll be able to identify if your student is Group A or Group B, and then also homeroom locations. All right, so that's some important dates for the start of the year. Chromebook distribution. So we are busy preparing to issue almost 700 Chromebooks, I'd say, to our students grade 4 through 12. This is what the unit will look like. It's a Samsung Chromebook device. All students grades 4 through 12 will receive a Chromebook. They'll get a Chromebook, a charging power cord, an adapter, and a carrying case. We would like that students keep their Chromebook in those carrying cases when they're transporting the device. We purchased a case that's got some additional padding. They have not come in yet, so I can't show you what the bag will look like. But it will have some additional protection for the device, so that if a student were to drop it, or if it were to collide in a wall, or the other types of things that happen when students are carrying devices from time to time, they will be cushioned and supported. So Chromebooks will be issued to students during orientation. My next slide will talk about what orientations are, but we will need parents to be present in order to sign out the equipment and sign off on all the paperwork, so that we can distribute the Chromebook to the student. Also want to make families aware that there's an optional $20 per device insurance fee. So to the extent that your student may need insurance to cover some types of damage, that will be available. More details will be in the paperwork at orientation night, and that will be for an optional $20 fee per device. These are dates for Belpre Elementary School grade level orientations. Kindergarten, again, your teachers will be communicating with you what screening will look like. First grade will have an orientation on August 17th at the BES cafeteria from 6 to 7. Second and third grade are still determining if they'll have an orientation. Grade 4 will have orientation on August 11th at BES library from 5:30 to 6:30. Fifth grade, August 17th in the BES library from 5 to 6. And sixth grade, August 17th in the BES library from 7 to 8. So the purpose of these orientations, at least for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, are twofold. One, an opportunity for teachers to go over syllabi, to go over expectations for the grade level, to talk, and to get to meet you. And then secondly, this is where we'll issue Chromebooks so that they will be available for students when they arrive on the first day. So we do ask that if you have a child in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, that you plan on attending that night, so that you can learn more about your teacher and also complete the paperwork and receive the Chromebook for the first day of school. We'll have similar orientation at the high school. 7th and 8th grade students, that orientation will be August 19th from 5 to 7. And 9th through 12th grade students, that will be August 18th from 5 to 7. So similar to the elementary school, this is an opportunity for parents to come, get a schedule, talk with the counselor, talk with the principal, and also to receive the Chromebook and complete the appropriate paperwork. So we will post these on our website as well, but those are important dates for grade level orientations this year as we look to open the doors. We also want to briefly go over what Belpre City Schools is proposing to do with federal COVID-19 relief dollars. So as many of you are aware, Belpre City Schools has received COVID-19 dollars to support our students learning over the next 3 years. And so we want to make sure that our families understand where we're proposing to allocate or utilize those dollars. About 65% of those dollars we are proposing to use towards staffing. This would include additional math and science teachers, additional custodians, social worker / communications support person. At the elementary school, a leader in me, which is a social emotional learning platform that we'll be rolling out this year. A tag intervention specialist for the middle and high school, and then summer school costs. That will be about 65% of the COVID relief dollars we stand to receive. About 20% we've allocated towards COVID-19 related materials, supply, if we need to continue to purchase additional cleaning supplies, facial coverings, whatever we may need to be prepared for the year, or to keep service going through the year, as well as substitute costs. About 10% we'll have allocated towards virtual student tuition at Blue Sky Academy, for those families that have opted into that program, and then about 5% on transportation costs. So the purpose of receiving these dollars is for Belpre City Schools to support and augment our response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also to support student learning. So we would welcome your comments if you think that we've missed something or you'd like to see these dollars allocated in a different way. Please leave feedback. You can email me as well at the central office. So that we can hear your ideas about what else we might want to think about in terms of how we can allocate these dollars to help best support you and your students' learning over the next 3 years. Also super excited to announce that we are going to have a facility committee meeting with the public this year. Belpre City Schools is partnering with Fanning Howey to host a school facility community meeting on September 1st, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. at Belpre Elementary School. And the goals of this committee will be for us to educate. We'll talk about educational issues. We'll talk about physical conditions in our building and what needs we think there are. We want to communicate information and engage with you, and we want to build consensus on a path forward. I think our most recent construction at Belpre City Schools is from 1969. Our earliest construction is Lawton, which I believe is 1928, approximately. And so we are excited to have a conversation with the community about where we are in the current state of Belpre City Schools physical facilities, and then what path we want to have as we move ahead. So please, we invite any of you to come and partner with us. We want to hear what's on your mind. We want to know what you're thinking, and your input and support would be valuable as our Board of Education thinks about what its future needs might be. So that's September 1st at 6:30, Belpre Elementary School. Everyone is more than welcome to come and engage with us and be part of that committee. All right, now I want to transition to COVID-19, and I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing right now, what's happened so far, and then also share with you what my recommendations to the Board of Education are. They will have a board meeting on August 16th where they will vote on my recommendation for what mitigation response will look like in Belpre City Schools this year. I do want to start the conversation with the caveat that this is a rapidly evolving situation, that even with just the last 7 days, we've seen a significant change over what we've seen the last 3 months in terms of spread across the country and additional expert opinions from folks who are advocating or giving counsel to school districts. So things are changing rapidly right now, but I will do my best to let you know what's happening around the state, and then I'll also share with you what my recommendations will be to the board, and then we will answer your questions, and also are really seeking your feedback. So, you know, there are folks across the community I've spoken to, and I know that it's a spectrum of where people are, but no matter where you are, we want to know what you think, and we would welcome your feedback either in the comments or also by email. All right? So, K-12 schools and colleges cannot require any vaccine that has not yet been fully approved from the USDA. So that was a state law that was passed I think about a month ago. And that law also said that K-12 schools cannot discriminate against anyone who has not been vaccinated, which includes infectious control provisions like masks and social distancing. Ohio Senate Bill 209 has been introduced, which would prohibit schools from issuing facial covering requirements, but that bill has not advanced in committee. So that bill was introduced, I think, on June 16th, and as of yet has had no additional movement. So the bottom line, aside from those specific pieces of legislation, local school districts are able to have some discretion in what they want to do. And preparing for tonight, I do want to make folks aware there are some federal and state agency opinions on what they are advising that school districts do. The Center for Disease Control has put out great guidance, which they are advocating for the universal and correct use of masks as well as the other protocols listed. The American Pediatric Association is advocating that all eligible individuals receive the COVID-19 vaccine and that all students on PK-12 and school staff should wear face masks while at school. And the Department of Health has also issued similar guidance to the other two regulatory agencies. So to start our time together, these are the folks that are tasked with monitoring this and tasked with giving expert advice to school districts. And this is what they have shared with us. So I have reviewed that guidance, and I've also spent a lot of time in the last 2 weeks talking with our unions, talking with our employees, both faculty and support staff. I've met with parent focus groups last week, appreciate their time and support. Spoken with business leaders, spoken with other community members, and have been trying to think a lot about what my recommendations should be for how schools should operate this year. And I think right now, given where we are locally, which we still see very little COVID-19 positivity rates in Belpre, in our zip code, which I'll talk about in a moment. At this time, my recommendation to the board is going to be the following: that facial coverings be optional for students and staff to start the year. But I have to caveat that by saying except for bus rides. So the CDC has issued guidance that if students or anybody is in a public transportation system, they have to wear a facial covering. So we will have to enforce that here. And so students that are on bus rides to and from school, as well as athletes that are on rides to and from athletic contests, will need to wear a facial covering while on the bus. But during the rest of the day, my recommendation at this point, given current conditions, is that facial coverings be optional for students and staff. Also calling for 3 feet of distance between students and classrooms where possible. And there may be some classrooms where that's not an amount that we can have, but where practicable and where feasible, we'll maintain 3 feet of distance between students. We will not be doing temperature screenings at the doors this year. We still are suggesting and strongly urging that if your student is sick, they should stay home. We won't have attendance incentives this year, so there won't be competitions for perfect attendance or awards for being here every day. Students may be sent home if they show 2 or more symptoms. I think families, you may recall that last year we were a little more stringent on that. Again, given levels of community spread, at this point, my recommendation is that students may be sent home, but it won't be as automatic as it was last year. Again, as we continue to monitor conditions. And also there will be flexibility on absences. So we understand that if we want students to stay home, that there needs to be flexibility on attendance guidelines across the district, and that's my recommendation to the board. We'll continue to require hand washing before and after meals and recess, additional sanitation stations throughout the building, and we'll continue the same surge in custodial staffing that we had last year in the school district. Volunteers will be permitted in the buildings with permission. Outside groups are permitted to utilize facilities through the normal process. So to the extent that outside groups want to use our facilities, we'll allow that through the normal paperwork process through my office. At this point, athletic events will have normal crowd levels. We are not anticipating changes in capacity, and facial coverings are optional for visitors and spectators at those events. Quarantine and contact tracing, however, will continue. So I do want to talk a little bit about this. You know, last year with universal masking of students in grades K through 12, we had some flexibility from the Department of Health that we did not have to quarantine students in a classroom if they were all masked. However, with a policy change where facial coverings are optional, it eliminates that provision from us. So quarantines are still an issue. So if your student wants to wear a facial covering, or if you have the type of job that you know, it's not as easy to get off, then a facial covering may be something that your family wants to consider, given the fact that quarantines may apply if the student does not have a facial covering. And of course, that also extends to vaccinations. So for students 12 and up, if your student is vaccinated, at this time we're told that they would not have to quarantine if they are a close contact to someone that has tested positive. But if a student is unvaccinated and unmasked, then normal quarantine protocols would occur, where our school nurse would do contact tracing, and we would have to work through it. So, towards the end of the school year last year, we did not see a lot of COVID cases. I hope that trend continues this fall, but we'll continue to monitor and adjust. But I want to make sure families are aware that is still in play this year. We'll also have school vaccination clinics on campus throughout the year. Again, we are not allowed by law to require vaccinations of vaccines that are under temporary emergency approval, but we will host vaccination clinics on campus. And to the extent that students would like to sign up and utilize them, we will make them available throughout the year, and we'll continue to be transparent with you, the public, with what we're seeing in terms of COVID-19 cases in our school buildings, similar to what we did last year. A full version of my draft resolution recommendation to the board is available on our website, and it will be presented to the board for full approval on August 16th. Again, another slide to give you a snapshot. You guys know I love my data graphs on COVID-19. I pulled them up every one of these meetings so far. If you look at the number of cases in Ohio, the 21-day trend, you can see that just 3 weeks ago we were seeing an average of 344 cases across the state, but you can see over 21 days that number has increased at a high of about 1,500 cases just a few days ago, and then now about half as much, 895. But we continue to see very low trends in terms of death and in ICU admissions, but definitely some variability in hospitalization. If we zoom into our 45714 zip code, we have had 10 cases that have been positive in the last 2 weeks, which is significantly smaller than what it's been in the past. So for me, given that low level of spread in our community and given conditions, my recommendation to the board will be as I just outlined. But I do want to be upfront with everybody that's my recommendation. There will be a board meeting on the 16th for final approval. So we welcome your feedback. If you think this is a great idea, if you think that this is exactly the way it should be, please let us know. You can leave a comment. You can write me an email. If you're concerned and you feel like this is the wrong direction, we would welcome that feedback as well. And we want to hear where folks are. We want to know where the community is. And we know that on this issue, reasonable minds can differ. But I also want to be clear that we will continue to monitor and adjust. We'll look at these numbers in our zip code. We'll look at attendance rates. We'll look at hospital utilization levels, as well as legislation. And if conditions decline here, we may have to take additional action in terms of mitigation moving forward. But that will be a conversation that we'll continue to have with you over the course of the school year, and will be driven by what we're seeing at the local level. So again, please, we welcome your feedback. We appreciate your support. I think last year, hopefully we proved to our community that we take this very seriously, that we will listen very closely to what our stakeholders have to say, and that we will make the best decisions we can for student safety and outcomes here at the school district. All right, so at this point, that's the information I had to give out. I'm going to stop my screen share, and then I'll be happy to take questions.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, we have a variety of questions.
Yeah, good.
And some of them are just detail-oriented about some of the announcements you made earlier. So, do you know how the kindergarten teachers will communicate with parents, and when can they expect information from them? Yeah, so you will hear from them within the next week, I would say. So we will do an all-call to kindergarten students. We will post it on our social media feeds, and if we haven't heard from parents, we will do direct outreach as well. So we will communicate those three methods. You will be hearing from us very soon, and can't wait. I think this is the class of 2032 that we are, or is it 2033 this year? It might be 2033.
that we're having this year. So that's exciting.
I should know, but I can't.
Yeah, I think it's 2033. I think 2032 was last year.
Generally, what time is 6th grade orientation? And I believe, if I can answer that for you, that was going to be from 7 to 8 o'clock on the 17th.
6th grade orientation, 7 to 8 o'clock on the 16th at Belpre Elementary School. And we'll post that as well on our website as well as social media feeds. So you can check back on those.
All right. High school schedules, when will those be released?
Yeah, very soon. So I've even heard reports that they may be visible right now if your student gets on the website. On Progress Book, no, Matt's shaking his head no, but they will be soon. I think they're loaded in. We're working on the technical aspect. I think my aspiration will be within the next week, but I can at least guarantee that by the time you pick up Chromebooks, that physical copies will be available. But we are working on that right now.
When will our school offices on both campuses be open?
They usually open about a week in advance.
This year, we believe our staff will return on August 9th.
August 9th is the answer. So yes. August 9th, building secretaries will be back in the buildings. Our principals have been in the buildings all summer. We'll continue to be there for folks. But August 9th will be when folks will be back in place and ready to roll for the school year. In the meantime, if there are other issues, my office continues to be open here on Rockland Avenue, and we'll be happy to assist.
This one is another one I can help answer for you. When will we know if 2nd grade is having an orientation? And it's to be determined at this point. We're still waiting to see if we've got enough information to share, but keep a close eye on the website and our social media, and we will share that out as quickly and as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll let you know about 2nd grade. You know, 2nd grade students won't have Chromebooks issued, so we haven't had the higher priority to have an orientation prior to the start of the school year. But stay tuned. If that changes, we will syndicate that through all-call and through our website.
Okay. Just for clarification, this was a question that came very early in the presentation, but for clarity, will masks be required?
So facial coverings at this point, given local conditions, are optional. So for families, for both students and faculty members, that will be my recommendation of the board on the 16th. But again, I just want to caveat that we'll continue to monitor and adjust as we get going.
If a family has already signed up for Blue Sky and has already indicated they would like to be in that program this year, are they still signed up at this point?
Yeah, they are. And if you want to verify that, you can call or email Allie True, our Director of Teaching and Learning, and she can verify that for you. But yes, if you signed up for that program last year, you should be there. Get some water.
How do parents sign up if they would like to investigate or learn more about homeschooling options?
Yeah, so I'd be happy to talk with families about it. The paperwork is actually fairly simple, and we also do have Blue Sky as an option for families, which wouldn't be totally homeschool dependent, where we could provide feedback to families and or at least some curriculum they can use. But yeah, feel free to make an appointment with me in my office, and we can go over the pros and cons and the paperwork, and we can get you squared away.
When should open enrollment families expect to hear if they have been accepted as open enrollees?
So to my knowledge, we have approved all of the open enrollment applications that came into our office. So if you have applied and it's been approved, and you should be receiving something in the mail very shortly.
Okay, another question regarding scheduling and virtual students. A student was virtual last year and they have not had any information or had the opportunity to choose electives or make a schedule. Who do they need to contact in order for that to happen?
Yeah, so if you're a virtual family that's returning, please email Jen Miller, our school guidance counselor, and she will work with you. Just go ahead and shoot an email, and I'm sure she'll schedule a time to sit down and talk about what your course offerings and options could be.
So this next question focuses a little bit on masking and buses. One of our viewers is asking why are students required to be masked on buses, and they're citing the Ohio Revised Code, stating that buses are not public transportation. Yeah,
so all I can tell you is that we have received information from the Department of Education as well as the Department of Transportation that the CDC has the regulatory authority to make that call on school buses. So I'm happy to look at the site you've provided, but my understanding is that is not any. I don't have any movement on that. That all school districts are bound by that. and that it's just the CDC has additional rulemaking authority in that sphere than they would have over normal day-to-day operations of our building.
So if a student was virtual last year and would like to return in person this year, what do they need to do?
If they were virtual last year and want to come back in person this year, they need to contact Allie True, our Director of Teaching and Learning. Her contact information is available on the website, or you can call us here at the central office, and we will work with you to make that happen.
Junior high and high school, thinking about some of our protocols from last year, will those students have access to lockers this year?
Yes. Yep, lockers will be back this year. Yep.
Okay. How about, Nurse Megan actually popped on to provide some more clarity on this question, but just regarding quarantine rules, if a student's already had COVID, will they then still have to quarantine?
But I believe the answer is yes. Under the quarantine protocols, yes. Is that what Nurse Megan said as well?
It is.
Oh,
and
good.
She also says that there's natural immunity for about 3 months, and that they will not have to quarantine within that 3-month period, but they will quarantine beyond that 3 months.
Okay, so it's a 3-month window.
3-month.
Okay. All right. 3 month. 3 months after. So.
If students want to wear a mask to school, can they?
Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage that, and we want to make sure that our families know that we encourage that if that's what your family wants to do, we welcome that, and hope your student has a successful year. And I'm sure that many students will make that choice.
Do elementary students, and this could also just be generally for all students, need to opt back into in-person learning?
No, students will not need to opt back in. So the default was that students will be back in person this school year. The ability to go virtual was what you needed to opt into. So no, if you were in person, you'll be back in person.
There are a couple of people asking how do they get in contact with Allie True, our Director of Teaching and Learning.
So if you could drop in the chat, in the comments there, her email address is bc_atrew, TREW, @belpre.k12.oh.us, or you could call our office at 740-423-9511, and we can connect you that way as well.
How will breakfast and lunch be served at the elementary school?
So breakfast this year at the elementary school will be similar to last year, where they will eat in classroom. Lunch, however, will be back into the cafeteria this school year. It might look a little different in the cafeteria, where there will be less numbers of students simultaneously in the classroom by grade level, but they will not eat lunch in classroom. They will eat lunch this year in the cafeteria, but they will still enjoy breakfast in room.
Schedules for 7th graders, when will they come out, and how do they know at that level what school supplies to get?
Yeah, so 7th grade schedules will be released at the same time that all other junior high and high school schedules are, which we think is very soon. As far as class lists, I will have to get back with you on that. I'll have to work with my secretary to see if that list has been posted and syndicate that. So look to our social media channels in the next week or so for that information.
Okay.
Great question, thank you.
Yes. Elementary recess, will it return to normal?
Elementary recess, I believe, will return to normal, yes. It will be outside with their grade levels.
Yep. Can students bring their own lunch?
Yes, students are allowed to bring their own lunch at both the elementary and the high school.
Okay, everything's going really fast right now, so if I miss one,
okay.
I apologize to everyone listening.
Sure.
9th grade, will they have an orientation?
Yes, 9th grade was one of the orientations. Let me check the slide again so I can provide the dates. But 9th grade will have orientation on August 18th from 5 to 7. And that will actually be for all students, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Let's see, will children be allowed to use microwaves during lunch? I can speak to that at the elementary school. We will not have microwave access this year.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe microwaves will be available this year, no.
And I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
Just some more general clarification on masks. So, are they optional?
Yes, facial coverings are optional. Mm-hmm. Again, I just want to caveat it, however, that that's what it is based on current conditions, and we'll continue to monitor and adjust, and we'll comply with legislation as it comes.
Are you allowed to drop off outside fast food to students at our schools?
No. So we won't take outside drop-offs of food. If families want to pack lunch, that's fine. But DoorDash to the school isn't something that we'll have this year.
Class lists. A couple of questions about this. Class lists for the elementary school will be posted on August 9th at 5 p.m. and they'll also have staggered scheduling with that
Right,
as well.
August 9th for Belpre Elementary homerooms. Yep, and Group A and Group B.
Let's see, when is 7th grade orientation?
7th grade orientation again.
And 8th grade, we have another question.
7th and 8th grade is August 19th from 5 to 7. And I'll post that slide as well. So that folks can access it, and we'll keep doing this periodically for the next couple of weeks, but that'll be August 19th. Great question.
Another question about lunch. Are parents allowed to bring lunch into their students, into the cafeteria?
So we really don't want families bringing food directly to students. If they want to bring a pack of lunch, that's fine. If a student forgets their lunch and they need to drop it off at the elementary or high school office, that's appropriate too, but other than that, parents really shouldn't come onto campus and drop food off. But if they forget their lunch, we understand.
Kindergarten students. On our website, we have a posting for signing up for our 1-hour screening. Do we want kindergarten parents to go ahead and use that to sign up, or should they wait until they're contacted?
No, kindergarten families, yeah, there is a link on our social media channels for you to sign up for a screening. Utilize the link. So if you're a kindergarten family that is available, you can select a time that works for you, and we will be excited to see you and your child that day.
Questions have slowed down, and I will say just from reading them, we've had lots of great feedback in all directions about recommendations and lots of great questions tonight, so we appreciate our viewers' participation and all of their thoughts. One more question for you. Do high school students participate in class selection?
Do high school students participate in class selection? Yeah, they are part of the course selection process. So that you can sign up a time to talk with Ms. Miller. I know that she distributed information to them late last spring and had meetings with them, and we'll take meetings with families and talk about what course offerings there are and work to sign up a schedule. Yeah, absolutely. We welcome that interaction.
Breakfast and lunch, just another clarification, they're free for all students this year.
Breakfast and lunch, free for all students, yes, regardless of income level. We're very excited about that.
And one more clarification.
Yeah.
Parents can come in and have lunch with their students or cannot come in and have lunch with their students this year.
I don't know how often we did that practice. I would refer you to the school principal. I won't speak for them. They may have different guidelines as far as how often or when that would happen that I'm unaware of. So just contact your building principal and they can walk you through that.
I don't have any new questions that I see on my end, and we
YouTube, we're good. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Again, thank you for your feedback. We will harvest those and we will provide them to the Board of Education in advance of their meeting next week. Please continue to tune in. We'll have these meetings as frequently as we need to keep you updated on what's going on and to have another great school year. Thanks and have a great night.